All right. Hey, welcome into the pregame show. It is fire and ice night tonight. We are going to be getting into the Detroit Lions, the Arizona Cardinals. Who's on fire? Who's on ice? That is the pregame show tonight. And I'll just tell you right now, your Cardinals, if you're a Cardinals fan and you join the stream tonight, they're on fire. Your Lions offense, they're on ice. But the biggest question is, what's going to transpire this weekend, and is that going to change? What is going on with this stream? It says we have an error. Give me one sec. You guys got me live out there? It looks like we're live. Now it says we're good. All right, whatever. Welcome into Rock Down Detroit Lions Off the Cuff. We're going to be getting into the pregame show tonight, talking about fire and ice. I'm going to redo the whole thing because I don't know if you heard it. The show tonight is who's on fire, who's on ice. We're going to kind of go through the offense, the defense, the offense, and kind of point out all of the different ideas as to what's going to happen this weekend. I usually do pretty well with my picks and predictions and going through both sides of the teams. To kind of give us an idea of what's going to happen. And I spent a little bit of time today trying to go through some of the stats, and I want to do something a little bit differently tonight. I want to bring in some of the passing charts and even James Conner's rushing charts and kind of take a look at, and we'll do the Lions too. Just kind of take a look at, what do I see if I was looking at this? What would I plan for? What are the Lions going to plan for? What should they be planning for? And how can they take advantage of it? So right away, let's welcome who we have in the chat so far. I know it's not our normal time, so it's probably going to be a little light for a while. But we got Josh Jackson in the house, Steve K, Trace, Dave Scott. Who else in here? Salty Pork Chops, Mike P. Light crew tonight, but we'll get through it. You guys are just going to be able to have that much more opportunity to communicate with each other. So, how's everyone's day going? Good day? I had a good day. I mean, I guess I had a good day. I hate doctor's appointments. Get sick of it. But I'm here, so that's good news. That's good news. Let's see here. Like the Cardinals in your thumbnail, it reminds me of an angry bird. Steve. Yeah, I was trying to find something different. Like, I was doing all the round ones. Like, I was trying to pull all the round ones, so I have a whole sheet of all the round ones. And, just the bird that they do is just like this triangle with a face and a nose, and it's just not very fun. So it kind of makes making thumbnails a little bit difficult. But I'm going to stick with this one. I like this. This is the one that was supposed to be out a long time ago. I don't know why it wasn't, but it's there now. So we're good to go. And, yeah, Trace, doctor appointments suck, especially when it's cancer-related crap. I can't stand it. But it is what it is, man. They only took 1.5 pints of blood from me today, literally. So let's get into it. Where should we start here? How about we get my notes up? That's probably a good start. The Detroit Lions are on the road this weekend. First road game of the season. And they're headed to Arizona. And they're going to be taking on your Cardinals. The Lions have started out on ice, like I said, while the Cardinals are on fire right now. Tonight's show, we'll discuss the keys to the game with some reviews of both sides of offense and defense for each team. And I think we'll just kind of start with the stats that matter, right? Both teams are 1-1. They have everything to win this weekend. And the Lions, about an hour ago, the spread is still Lions favored by 3. Total over under is 51.5. Money line is minus 150 to the Lions, plus 125 to the Cardinals. As I always state, if you are going to bet based on anything that I tell you tonight, please make sure it is your bet, not my bet. Bet responsibly. I am not responsible for anything that you do out there in the betting world. So Murray, he gets a crack at Detroit. Detroit secondary, young secondary. Secondary that was torched in week 1 and still has given up the 12th most passing yards in the league. I think people forget wasn't too long ago that Murray had an ACL injury, right? And all last season, he was coming back from an ACL injury. Almost no player ever comes back in their first season back and plays to their potential in that first year. It rarely ever happens. Rarely. And it really depends on what position it is. But a skill position, hardly ever. They seem to kind of have some ghosts, if you will, that they're still trying to get rid of. You know, they're still seeing ghosts. They're still seeing injury every time they make a cut or every time they take a hit. And, it takes some work to kind of feel comfortable again. Making cuts, jumping, taking hits. It's all part of the process. It's all part of the rehab. And without playing in preseason, nowadays, that process kind of lingers into the regular season. So now we are seeing what a fully healthy Kyler Murray is, and that is dangerous. Absolutely dangerous. This guy is out of control right now. Here are some examples. I'm going to give you some examples anyway of how the Arizona Cardinals can beat the Detroit Lions this weekend in week 3. And it's kind of based on their performances and trends so far through 2024. But starting with the Cardinals offense. Right now, your Detroit Lions defense are only allowing 20 points per game. Whose number is that? That's my number. I love it. The Lions, they must be listening. Someone, Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, they must be listening to the show. I'm telling you, stick to 20 or less. You're going to win some games. I know we dropped one we shouldn't have dropped, but 20 is that magic number. You got to keep these opponents to 20 points or less. And what a big jump it's been. I mean, I think we were averaging on the defense last season 25.1-ish towards the end of the year, which was about a 2-point jump from the year before. And now we've gained 5 points in less than a season. So far, it's early, but that's huge. Now, the Cardinals on the other side of the ball, they're averaging 34.5 points per game. That's who the Lions were last year and the year before to start 2022. We came out hot. The Lions, they're on ice right now. Lions yards allowed per game, 301, which is middle of the pack, tied for 14th. And total yards per game that the Cardinals are putting up is 379. 379, well, there's a half in there, but 379, I don't know how there's a half in there. 379 yards, which is 7th in the league. Detroit is allowing 225 pass yards per game, and Arizona's putting up 202 pass yards per game, which is good for 15th. Lions defense is good for 21st. So we've gained 6 points, right? Last year we finished, I believe, 27th, 28th ranked passing defense. So we're making positive moves here. Positive moves. It's not all gloom after a loss, right? Rush yards per game, 177. 177 for Arizona. Your Detroit Lions giving up 76.5. Both are good for 4th, respectively, offense and defense. Lions are -1 on the turnover margin right now. That's got to change this weekend. It's a must change this weekend. Before I forget, is Mike P in here? Because Trace, you keep saying I got to add Mike P, right? And there he is. Got him. Good to go. Didn't want to forget, because I forgot last time. Full State Farm says, unfortunately, I don't think you fixed the 1-7 red zone issues in 1 week. I'm not sure the defense will travel either. They have played well, but from the juice of Ford Field, I got the Cards this week. Man, Full State Farm, what happened? What happened, man? You lost that love and feeling? Whose birthday is it? Happy birthday, whoever's birthday it is. I don't see it. Whose birthday is it? All right, I'll move forward. I don't know whose birthday it is. Okay, so let's talk about the Cardinals offense. Let me put up a poll question, which I want to start utilizing these Q&As here. Number one, can we get 250 likes before we'll do 6:35 p.m.? We would appreciate it. And I don't even know how many people we have watching right now. So let's see if we can do it. I think we can. I got faith in you guys. All right. So first up, like I said, look, Arizona, this is simple for us and for them. They can exploit Detroit's young secondary or, new secondary. The question is, will they? Kyler Murray has absolutely been thriving in the first two games this season, and he's been thriving through the air. And in this young Detroit secondary and new Detroit secondary can be vulnerable right now. It's a high-volume passing game with Kyler Murray, and now he's learned how to target Marvin Harrison Jr. This could challenge the Detroit Lions secondary this weekend. It really could. Before I forget, I got to get depth charts up. Let me get that up before I go any further. Phone lines will be open tonight, too, by the way. Give it till 6:35 and we'll get it open. So on the depth chart for your Arizona Cardinals, if you're a Cardinals fan, Marvin Harrison Jr. is obviously your newest to the receiver room. You've got Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch, and behind them you have Chris Moore, Zach Pascal, and Xavier Weaver. Not sure which five they're probably going to bring into the game this week, or maybe six. I don't know how many they brought up last week, but it probably wouldn't be much more than that. Those six guys. Honestly, when I look at it, I see Marvin Harrison Jr., I see Greg Dortch. I don't really see anybody else that I'm worried about right now outside of Trey McBride. I mean, so I don't think that he has a very deep receiver room. I just think he has some weapons that he's been able to utilize because no one's been able to shut down Murray's legs. And if you can't corral Murray inside the pocket, you let him get outside the pocket, that is where he's going to hurt you. You cannot let him get outside the pocket. And that is truly, it is the Achilles heel of the Detroit Lions defense, and it has been for 4 seasons. It's going to get fixed this year. I don't know when, but it's coming. I can see it. It's already starting to happen. So exploiting Detroit's secondary is probably the first thing that this Arizona Cardinals defense is going to look to do. How could they make Terry and Arnold make mistakes? How could they force Terry and Arnold to get flags? If that were me, planning against this defense, that's exactly what I would try to do. I would try to frustrate the hell out of Terry and Arnold, and I would force him into getting hands-on, and then the flags fly. And when the flags fly, you move down the field. And when you move down the field and your red zone efficiency is as good as it is for Arizona, you score points. So exploiting the Detroit secondary would probably be key number one. Number two here. This is zero secret. Everybody knows this. You got to utilize Kyler Murray's mobility. And more importantly, his off-schedule playmaking ability. Detroit has really struggled against mobile quarterbacks. Murray should use his legs, and he will, to extend plays and create rushing opportunities, not just for himself, but for his running backs as well. James Conner, Trey Benson, that's really all they have. I mean, James Conner's really been it for Arizona this season. Kyler Murray also is an improvisational genius. His improvisational skills were a big part of what made him a top prospect coming into the NFL, and they were a big part of his game during his most successful moments as a professional, including the last weekend, which was probably his best game ever as a professional. Not just the rating, but his best game ever. Murray has more time in this style of offense under Drew Petzing, and it's clearly been shown. The first 2 weeks have seen a return to Kyler Murray's old days, who, he had picked up 96 rushing yards last weekend on scrambles, and he's 5 for 6 for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns, or he was 5 for 6 of 98 yards and 2 touchdowns while scrambling and then extending to make the off-schedule throws or plays with his feet. He was extremely dangerous last week when he was making those off-schedule throws. I mean, so much so that some of these passes were just, they were incredible. The way that he was able to do what he was able to do. We can't see that this weekend. You cannot let Murray outside. I'm going to say it 15 times tonight. You cannot let this guy outside the box. Don't let me forget to comment on Hutch, because he won't like it, but I have to say something about it. The third thing, it's not terrible, but it's just something that I picked up today that kind of bothered me. The third thing, aggressive and quick passing early. Arizona must avoid focusing on the run and counteract Detroit's pass rush moves. 1 second here. I got a call coming in. 1 second. All right. Anyway, aggressive and quick passing early for Arizona. That was my third point about Arizona's offense. So Arizona must avoid focusing on the run and counteract Detroit's pass rush, which is going to be very difficult to do. Now, Murray can employ a quick passing game, which, it was just done to us, right? We just watched it happen with Matthew Stafford in the opening weekend. He was able to sling the ball all over the field for short gains, and then it opened up big gains. And it was the first game for this DB, this DB room. And they struggled mightily at times. But they took a lot of plays for big yak yards. And I can see some similar opportunity for Arizona. It just depends on what the pass rush does. Or if Aaron Glenn has these guys rushing as often as he did against the Rams. That's going to be the biggest question. Are we going to be more disciplined or more aggressive? If we're more aggressive, those passing lanes open. If we're more disciplined, I don't think those passing lanes exist as much. And the biggest caveat here is if Alex Anzalone is in this game. But Murray can employ a quick passing game. Very simply, just look at what the Rams did to us. It'd be very similar. Mimicking or minimizing sack opportunities and allowing his playmakers to operate in space. Starting with aggressive passing can put the Lions secondary on our back foot, and it would have to force us to have to adjust to what Murray's doing. And you guys know as well as I do, we don't adjust. For whatever reason, this defense never seems to adjust. Maybe in the second half, right? But not during the game. It's like they just continue doing what they're going to do and deal with it and get to halftime. I hate that. I don't know why we do it that way, but I guess I've just never seen enough adjustment in game to really quantify that we made an adjustment. You know what I'm saying? So the Cardinals wide receivers can really stretch the Lions defense out, spreading the field, creating mismatches that favor Arizona's speed and size. Harrison Jr. had a breakout game in week 2 and could exploit, again, very young group for our defensive back room for big plays and yardage. The aggressive and the quick passing style that has been used against us already, I'm hoping that Aaron Glenn has a plan for it and that he's going to do something to limit what Marvin Harrison can do well, which That's not short, quick passing. And I'll show you that here in just a minute. The fourth item for Arizona's offense is tempo control. Push the pace, press the gas. The Cardinals can put a ton of pressure on Detroit this weekend, forcing mistakes and tiring out the front seven. The best way to limit a pass rush and a defensive front that is as good as what the Detroit Lions have shown that they are through 2 weeks is you go up tempo. You gas them. You force them to stay on the field. You do not let them rotate guys in and out. That means you get your offense in. Maybe, if you get a first down and then you go up tempo. So you kind of get, a few plays underneath you. You figure out what defense is going to be on the field and how you can exploit it. And then bang, it's up tempo. You trap the defense on the field and you go 3-4 plays in a row. And now that defensive line is gassed to start the game. And if you keep them in for a 12, 13, 14 play, drive, you pretty much got the defense on the heels for the rest of the half. I don't want to see that happen. I absolutely, but I could see where if you're a smart offense, that's how you're going to take advantage of Hutch, whose wildly out of control motor is nonstop. It may not affect him as much, but the guys that it's going to affect that are going to give us the biggest opportunity against Kyler Murray is DJ Reader and Ali McNeil. Without the interior pressure in this game, the exterior pressure or disciplined approach would be to stay home, is going to be less effective. So we'll see where that goes. I'm going to be watching for an up-tempo play style from the Cardinals once they get what they like from a defensive look from us trapped on the field. Now, my biggest concern for the Lions defense is point number 5, and that is the Arizona Cardinals have 38.5% play action passing rate, and it ranks 3rd overall. Now, it only concerns me if for some reason we can't shut down the run game. The Detroit Lions have a 31.6% explosive play action pass plays allowed rate. Say that fast. Let me say it another way. The Lions have allowed an explosive plays on play action 31.6% of the time. The Cardinals have run play action 38.5% of the time. So that means if they run 30 plays, roughly 11 of those plays are going to be play action. And according to what the Lions are doing, 3.5 to 4 of those plays are going to be explosive in nature. Over 20 yards. That's not good. That is a recipe for disaster. And by the way, that is the highest explosive plays allowed rate in the NFL. Now, Detroit's coverage units, they rank 10th worst in expected points added per play allowed and 11th worst in positive expected points allowed rate at 47.6%. The Lions have allowed an NFL high 11 explosive pass plays to opposing wide receivers so far through 2 weeks. Now, I am worried, right? If the Lions do allow Kyler Murray to break tackles, move freely outside of the pocket, and make these off-scheduled throws, which if you just go rewatch the game before the weekend, just watch what Murray did this past weekend. But if all that happens, the Lions defense will cave, and big shots are going to come raining down out of the heavens, and Kyler Murray is going to make it happen again. So those are my 5 biggest concerns for the Lions and in ways that the Cardinals can kind of take advantage of the Detroit Lions defense. And that would be, number 1, exploiting the secondary in its youthfulness. Kyler Murray's got to maintain his mobility, which allows him to make off-scheduled plays and passes, right? Aggressive and quick passing style early in this game, which would get the Detroit Lions on their heels. And 4th, tempo control, going up tempo, trapping our defense on the field. That's just a smart way. That's just smart business, right? I hate to say it, but that's a smart way to go at us. And fifth is, man, do we suck in play action on defense. We are getting baited and burned. So we cannot allow James Conner to get going. We cannot allow Kyler Murray to do anything. And that is an extremely tall task. So we do have a problem with their offense. We do. Could this be a shootout? Because their defense isn't that great. I'm just going to say that right now. I mean, they're okay. They do some things really good. They have a couple of good players, but by the numbers, on paper, they're not that great. They really aren't on paper, but we know what that means. So next up, let's review some stats, next-gen stats through the passing charts. I'm going to run through the chat right now and see what you guys are talking about. What do you guys think of my 5 points so far? Am I hitting it pretty much spot on right now? Is this any of the things that you have thought about? I'm interested to see. Mike P, what do you think? Being a former coach, what do you think of my analysis right now on the Arizona Cardinals? I'm curious. Yep, J-Rod Davenport is looking like he'll be back this week. That is going to be a big play for us. Mike P says off platform plays will hurt. You got to keep Murray corralled. Sacks less important. Just keep him hurried with his throws. So the fact that you just mentioned sacks are less important, I'm glad you did that. I am so glad Mike P just said that. Because you're right. They are less important. I was kind of disappointed in a interview with Hutchinson. Not picking on him. Because, I mean, he had a hell of a weekend. And I get that he has big goals. I understand it. You want it when you're an NFL player, and you know you've made it. You drafted second overall in the first round. I mean, you're thinking, you know, sky's the limit. I'm going to do it all. And he's just got that mentality, right? That he can be the best. And he was asked some questions. I don't even remember who asked him the questions now. And he knew all the answers as far as what's the most sacks in a game, 7. What's the most sacks in a season, 22 and a half. And he wants to beat that record. And I kind of sat back and I'm like, man, now that he's got this big jump through 2 weeks, are we going to start seeing the undisciplined Hutch again? Or are we going to start seeing the guy that's chasing a trophy that's not the Lombardi? And that's personal goals trophies. Because that's not this team. This team is not about the I's. It's about the we's. It's the us. It's the team. The team, the team, the team. You remember that speech? Come on, Michigan fans. You know, you should know that. Team, the team, the team. And if Hutch is going to start chasing sacks, that is a recipe for disaster, especially against Kyler Murray. You are not going to catch Kyler Murray from behind or even laterally. If you do not wrap this guy up, he will get out. I hope that Hutch realizes that the game is more important than those sacks. Let the sacks come naturally. If you break it, you break it. If you've won the North and you can't win a 1 seed and you've got not much to play for, then pin your ears back and go get it. You know what I mean? But don't waste a season of opportunity to make it back to a Super Bowl opportunity, which is to get into the NFC Championship game, because you're going to chase sacks. Now, I give all the glory to Hutch for what he did this last weekend. He had a great weekend. But I don't want to see the undisciplined Hutch that is just firing and not containing and getting too far outside, because that is where Murray will hurt us. You cannot get deep on Murray. You can't get too far outside on Murray. You give him that sliver, and he's going to take it a mile. So we need him to get in. We need him to get in and get after the bigger prize, which I'm sure he probably doesn't mean everything that he says, or maybe it comes off a little bit different to some people like me. I kind of read it maybe a little bit different. That's my fault. But I'm just hoping that his mind is on one thing and one thing only. All right, let's get into some passing charts. I'm glad I see some of you guys agree. You recognize it. And he needs to maintain the lanes, right? Keep the lanes plugged. We need him going after Lombardi and nothing else. There we go. It's hard to separate Saturdays from Sundays. I know it is. It's hard. It took me a while to do it. All right, let's get this screen going in here. Looks like we're going to be starting with, you know what? Let's start with James Conner. Let's start with him. So I wanted to bring him in because I found it really interesting looking at this chart. So this is week 1. It says week 2, but it's not supposed to be. Hold on. Let's go back. Does that not say week 1 right there? It certainly does. There, let me click it. And it's week 2 versus LA. What in the world? Well, that's not cool. I want to see week 1. What? And now it's going to Devonta Smith? Whatever. All right, week 2. I mean, it still paints the same picture. That's what I wanted to show you guys, is his rushing chart. When you look at it, it's heavy left. Now, you look at the red, that's a tackle for a loss. You look at the yellow, those are 0 to 5 yards. And then you look at the green, those are 5+ yards. And the blue dot is a touchdown. So he scored a touchdown off to the left twice. And looks like that's about it. No fumbles in there. But I think it's interesting, right? He's hardly doing anything outside of the right hash. But this isn't, the hash really doesn't matter because this could be all over the field. Right? I mean, you could be lined up on the left. You could be lined up in the center. You could be lined up on the right. It's still the same. What I see here is I just don't see a lot of work for him coming off the right side. And why is that important? Because if they maintain the rushing integrity from week to week, this means Hutch, if he's over here on this side, is not going to have to deal a whole lot with James Conner. And if that remains true in this game, and Aidan Hutchinson does not have to protect his edge as often, well, that means he could pin back a little bit. But I need Hutch to sit right here. I just need him to sit right here on top of the line of scrimmage and just hold this edge and just wait for that center, the interior pressure to push Kyler out and have him come right into his lap. That's all I need Hutch to do, is just be patient. Because if James Conner's not running this way, then that means Kyler Murray's running that way. And no, Next Gen Stats did not give us a Kyler Murray chart, which I don't understand. I found this really interesting too. When I look at Marvin Harrison's passing chart. There we go. That's a little better. What don't you see here? Well, one, I see, a lot of incomplete routes. He ran the same route, 2 or 3 times. This must have been a choice route up here. This almost like a sluggo. But he scored off this deep drag route, going across and up on, 60+ yard play. Must have been a broken play. Now, he hasn't completed a ton of passes, but he's consistently lined up on the left side. That helps us. And I see where, if these guys are consistently lined up on one side, and if Carlton gets, if he gets the nod to take on Harrison Jr. for the weekend, then Carlton's not going to have to move a whole lot. He'll be on the right side of the defense, and Terrion will be over here on the left. But I don't see a whole lot of uniqueness, I guess, with his routes. I mean, they're pretty simple routes. And the fact that he's coming off the left side, again, that takes some of this work over here on the right side of the defense away, from the defensive line. They're not going to have to worry so much about what's going on. And then let's look at Dortch. Now, Dortch is a little bit of all over the place. That's because he's probably the primary man in motion, but he's also a slot specialist. He's kind of like your Amon-Ra St. Brown. Obviously not the same, as far as a skill level, but he's doing a lot of dinking and dunking around. Not a whole lot of big plays here. You look at the completions, that's 8 yards. This is, some sort of a play out of the backfield for 3 yards. Here's another one for 6-7 yards. Here's another one for 15 and another one for about 11. And this was week 1 versus Buffalo. So not a whole lot going on here. Not a whole lot. No touchdowns. Pretty bland. And then let's take a look at Kyler Murray. Now, this is last weekend versus LA. So this I like. The fact that we're not seeing a whole lot coming off this right side here tells me that if the Lions want to play this smart, you can actually leave somebody, over here in the flats to keep their eyes on Kyler Murray because they're not throwing the ball over here. You've got 3 balls over here last weekend. That's it. And they were all deeper shots, and if he's throwing the ball from, I don't know if these angles, I don't know if that means anything. Those are touchdowns, maybe, where he threw his touchdowns. But obviously, Kyler favors the left side of the field. And I guess that's what I'm looking at with Marvin Harrison, too, is that with Marvin's on the left side because Kyler favors the left side. You guys see where I'm going with this? If he favors the left side and they're running to the left side, where do you want to have your defense shifting to? Where are you going to put a lot of your disguises in? You want to make it look like you're gonna take the right side of the field. Is Kyler Murray left-handed? Does anybody know? Let me look it up real quick. I don't think he is. And I don't see anything popping up right away. So anyway, I guess the whole point of going over some of these charts here is what you're seeing is I see a lot of left-sided offense. Now, if we go to week 1, it's not pulling up. Why is it not pulling up? Next Gen's got like a cookie issue or something because I pressed week 1 and it's not pulling up. Let's try it again. Week 1. There it is. Let's try. There we go. So when you look at week 1, you have all of this short stuff under 10 yards. All right. This is exactly what I see the Cardinals doing this weekend. Is all of this short underneath stuff and trying to get some yak out of it. They threw 1 touchdown after all of this, dinking and dunking around. But James Conner was also dicing it up, I think, in week 1. Last weekend, they didn't have to throw a ton because Kyler Murray was able to run. So if you take that all away, you can limit this offense. These charts don't lie. I mean, you get a really good idea of what these teams are doing and how you can limit them. But obviously, they know every team sees these. And they're going to try to do something different each week. I mean, that's just the plan. But, some of these guys, they just can't do much more than what's already on paper. Steve K says, Will, you think there may be a little more DB blitzing? I don't know, man. I think the Lions should be utilizing some DB blitzes. And the reason would be, or a linebacker blitzing off the edge. The deal on that would be you've got to keep your edge home. Here, I got to pull something up. So when I think of DB blitzing and I look at the defensive technique, let me see if I can pull this up for you guys. Shoot. There we go. You know who would probably be great at explaining this stuff would be Mike P. I'm sure he remembers a lot of this stuff. One second. All right, there you go. So this is your defensive alignment techniques or holes, sorry, explained. And when I think of DB blitzing, I think you got to use it in the context of you've got to keep your edge. You got to keep your edge home. Man, this is making it really small. There we go. It's about the best I can do on this one. So your strong side, I think it looks the same to you as what it does to me. But your strong side is where the tight end is, right on the left side of your screen. So if you're running 4-3, and you're going to have the C, B, and B and C gaps maintained, right? You got somebody on the inside of the tackle or on the outside. Hold on. One second. So if you're in a 4-3, each defensive player is assigned a gap to defend, right? And the Lions play a gap and a half. And basically what that means is if you've got the 7 and the 5 or the 4, those are all techniques, right? But if you've got the C gap and the B gap, that's going to be controlled really by kind of like 1.5 guys. Like if you would have Aidan Hutchinson, not that he would be on the inside, but let's just say he's in the C. Well, he's going to take up that one and then half a B. And then Aleem is going to take up half a B and then all of A. And then, DJ is going to take up half of A and then all of A on his side, so on and so forth. But anyway, I want to see some DB blitzing right through the C gap this weekend. That's what I want to see. And I want to see some coming off the D, off the outside, on the strong side, and off the C gap on the weak side. I don't want to see a bunch of stuff coming through the middle because I think that our edge will lose their gap integrity. And I'm going to get off of this because I'm not prepared to go through this tonight. But, whoops. There we go. it just kind of shows you the alignments. I'm going to go through some of that stuff in another segment, but not tonight. But yes, I do want to see some DB blitzes. They work well for us. It just has to be at the right time. All right, let me get back to the pregame here. All right, so more offensive notes, and then I'm going to flip over to the Cardinals defense. So the receiving production for the Cardinals has been balanced so far. Trey McBride leads the team with 15 targets, followed by Marvin Harrison Jr. with 11 and Greg Dortch with 10. I do expect Marvin Harrison Jr. to likely emerge as the alpha guy in this room. He's definitely, he's learning more each week, right? He's still a rookie. He's a high draft pick, but he's still a rookie. He's got a long way to go, and I do believe as long as he stays healthy, he will become the alpha. The dude is extremely talented. But McBride is carrying a catch rate right now of 73.3%, and that's not good heading into a weekend where we could be down Anzalone. Trey McBride, he could have a career game against us. We have struggled with tight ends, and if we do not have Anzalone in this game, I do worry about Jack Campbell's ability to man the green dot and man coverage, because his coverage is not that great, or at least it hasn't been. Now, obviously, McBride is really showing big promise as a pass-catching tight end in the NFL. And Dortch, he's a slot specialist, so he's going to be that dink-dunk guy in this offense, but he can take it, he can take it the distance, and he can get open in intermediate routes, 8 to 12 yards. I just don't see where Arizona is going to try to play the long game this weekend, because if you try to play the long game this weekend against us in this defensive unit, then Murray's going to be scrambling everywhere, just about every play. And that's not going to be good for anybody in the end. One, it's going to gas our defense, but two, I think it's going to gas Murray at some point. He's just going to get caught up. So if you play the long game with us and we're actually able to stick with the wide receivers, I think that is a benefit to the Lions, because we're going to be able to get in and get to Murray a little bit quicker. I don't know much about Nowaski. I know that the Lions didn't want to lose him. Murray is left-handed. That makes no sense to me. I guess it does with the way that he's throwing. I guess when you think about it, a left-handed quarterback likes to throw to the left shoulder more so than they do the inside left shoulder. So that would limit more passing to the right. So left-handed quarterbacks are a little bit harder to defend. And the reason why is because most corners are used to right-handed quarterbacks. So kind of interesting, right? Yeah, I agree with you, Mike. Mike P says blind side is the best side to blitz, which would be coming off of the left side of the defense this weekend behind Murray's backside. So that'd be Aidan Hutchinson's typical side, but Aidan's been kind of all over the place this season so far. So I'm excited. I'm excited about that. Cardinals defense. Now, sure, this Cardinals defense gave up a lot of points in week 1, but they still rank 13th. In the league in opponent yards per play. So it's not crazy good, right? They're not world beaters here, not yet. Man, we got a light crew tonight. Let me get this back up. Where did it go? There it is. Anyway, I'll say they're not world beaters by any means, but their number one goal, or at least the Lions' number one goal, is they got to stop Budda Baker. Like, he is the guy. He is the guy that we have to pay attention to. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, they have Xavier Collins, Bilal Nichols, Roy Lopez, Justin Jones, Mac Wilson, Kaiser White, who's been playing terribly, Dennis Gardeck, Sean Murphy Bunting, which, he's a coin flip, Jalen Thompson, Buda Baker, Garrett Williams, and of course our guy, Starling Thomas V. The guy that I'm still fuming, Brad Holmes let walk over Emmanuel Mosley. So Buda Baker, he's the real issue this weekend. Very physical, very active. Pre-snap, he makes really good judgment calls. He gets a lot of freedom from the coaching staff to do what he needs to do. And Dan Campbell even emphasized in a press conference this week that getting to Buda Baker first has to be a key. Has to be a key this weekend. You've got to get a block on Buda early. He also mentioned that it appeared, some guys tended to shy away from Buda because he, exact quote, is coming downhill like a missile, end quote. And clearly, this is a business decision, people. People are, these guys are not taking on a block because they're afraid of taking the hit from Buda. I don't see that being an issue for our offensive line. I don't. I see Parker Hess having to have a pretty big weekend taking on Buda. He's going to have a big assignment, but it's going to take more than just Parker Hess. I would like to see Skipper involved in the game more often. I haven't seen a whole lot of Skipper this year. Where has Skipper been? And why has he been out of the game? Let's get Skipper back there with Parker. They can mix up, some opportunities, but I think that Skipper being out of this offense has been a hindrance to this offense. Have you guys noticed that? Is it just me or is Skipper not playing at all? We used to see him in all the jumbo packages, the 13 personnel, which we haven't been running. So I want to see Skipper get in and take on Buda Baker at times. We need to go bigger if we want to take a W out of Arizona this weekend. The second key to this Cardinals defense is turnovers. Arizona's defense, though it's not really elite, they can get pressure on Jared Goff and make him make mistakes. Creating turnovers will be key in controlling the game. I don't really see turnovers being an issue, right? We've been doing well protecting the ball, not fumbling the ball, which has been, I'm thankful, right? We're not turning the ball over that way because last year we had a lot of issues with Demo early in the season, and then Jahmyr Gibbs at times. We had some fumbles that really created some headaches for this Lions team. They've got to continue to, do well with the football in their hands. They can't let it go. But turnovers on defense is key for any defense, right? You want to win over the turnover. You want to win the turnover margin. And right now I see that the Lions stack up well right here. I think that Jared Goff's going to be fine. I don't see him throwing a bunch of interceptions. This is not an elite DB room that we're going up against. Yeah, they have a few good players. If I were to pick out the 4 or 5 players that we really have to worry about, it's Mac Wilson, it's Dennis Gardeck, it's Buda Baker, and maybe Jalen Thompson, maybe. And that's not even looking at the numbers. I'm not even looking at the PFF scores. I'm just taking a wild guess right now. Let's look at some scores. Let's do this. Let's go to Arizona. Arizona Cardinals. So if we look at overall defensive performance on the year so far, by the numbers, the Arizona Cardinals rank 24th in overall defense. 24th. In tackling, the Lions rank first. Go get that. Lions rank first in defensive tackling, and the Arizona Cardinals rank 18th. Pass rush, Lions rank first. That's craziness. I'm so glad we needed that $30 million defensive end. The Arizona Cardinals rank 21st. So I'm not really worried about this defense now in coverage. Let's see. The Arizona Cardinals the Lions are 19th. Cardinals are 31st. So if this is a team that we should be able to walk all over, it would be this team. But I don't want to set it up that way because you know how that goes. Even on special teams, your Lions are ranked 6th. And that's where the Cardinals have their best squad is on special teams. They rank 14th. So individually, though, let's get into some individual reports for Arizona on defense. Their best player is Kytrell Clark, cornerback. Dennis Gardeck, 79.3. Mac Wilson, 76.7. Roy Lopez, 75.2. Xavier Collins, 72.2. Wow, Starling Thomas is in the top 8, 67.6. And he's ahead of Budda Baker, who's a 67.3. Tackling, Starling Thomas is an 80.4, second highest grade, third highest grade on the team. Budda Baker is a 41.1. I am so ticked off that we lost Starling Thomas the 5th. That one's always going to bother me, especially because I don't think it was necessary. I really don't. I know that 53-man cuts are kind of weird, especially the way that Brad's been doing them the last couple of years, and the roster gymnastics that they've been doing with these positions to try to keep some people in house, and having to put certain guys to IR, and I mean it's just kind of a mess when you think about it. Nothing's easy, but we lost a player, man. We lost a player. What is the electronics encyclopedia, J-Rod? I missed it. Oh, Iron says your guys must be trolling you because Kyler Murray is right-handed. So who's saying he's left-handed? I don't know. I don't know if he's left-handed or right-handed. But it would make sense if he was left-handed because he throws the ball more left. We'll see. So we got Iron in the house. Iron's a Cardinal fan. Welcome in, buddy. So anyway, going back to this, I don't even know where I was now. Let me go back to my notes. Turnovers on defense. When I look at the turnovers by the numbers, at some point here, there we go. Turnovers by the numbers. We have 0 interceptions for Arizona on the season. 0 interceptions. Pass breakups, 2. How do they only have 2 pass breakups, 0 interceptions? But apparently they have 2 touchdowns on defense. Well, I guess it's got to be correct because PFF is reporting it, right? Where's the fumbles at? Why don't I see fumbles on this list? Oh, I don't. Yeah, so Mike P says, ditto, Will, if you can hang on to Mono, how can you let Thomas get away? Yeah, that one, like I said, it's always going to bother me. Emmanuel Mosley, he wasn't even ready. He wasn't close to being ready. He didn't even play until week 5. And you could have stashed him. You could have put him on the injury list. And so what? You couldn't have had him for 4 weeks. He wasn't ready for 4 weeks anyway. And you let a player like that go. So, not cool. They missed a lot of tackles, too. So, according to PFF, I mean, you've got Garrett Williams missing 50% of his tackles. Max Melton missing 33%. Roy Lopez, 33%. Budda Baker, 22%. Sean Murphy Bunting, 22%. Owen Popo, I really liked Owen Popo coming out last season, 12%. Mac Wilson 8%, and then everybody else is at 0%. So Starling Thomas doesn't miss tackles either. Go figure. This is shaping up to be a trap game. You know, if you overlook them, we just can't overlook them. Another point here on Cardinals defense. Special teams advantage. A strong performance in special teams obviously can help flip the field and help them win some positional battles. Obviously, nobody in the league has a better special teams ace than the Detroit Lions do with Jack Fox. And we are quickly learning that Jake Bates, I mean, he's just got the leg, right? He's 100%. He hasn't been tested yet. But I would definitely give the edge to the Lions here on special teams. Last point here before I get into the Detroit Lions defense. Will the Lions maintain and keep the pass rush under control from the Arizona Cardinals? The Cardinals had a terrific pass rush performance last week from linebacker Dennis Gardeck. He recorded 3 sacks, so while Aidan was getting his 4.5, Gardeck was getting his 3. Gardell had four tackles for loss and a forced fumble. There we go. We got the forced fumble. Gardeck is a little bit of an unconventional pass rusher, but get this, 6 feet, even, 232 pounds. Sound familiar? Sounds real familiar. Now, they also had interior defensive lineman Roy Lopez, who also contributed last week versus the Rams with 4 pressures and a sack on the day. Now, Gardeck's unconventional size, Gardeck has unconventional size, and it is actually his strength because of his bend, his suddenness, and his ability to transition from one edge of the tackle inside to the other edge of the tackle. And this is a very unique skill set that presents challenges for the bigger tackles in the game. Very, very, very similar to who? James Houston. So find it very interesting that James isn't getting a ton of play right now. But I also find it interesting that there is a mirror image of James Houston on this team for the Arizona Cardinals, and he's playing well. So got to look out for Gardeck, but I don't think that Penei Sewell or Taylor Decker are going to have an issue handling Gardeck this weekend. I don't know what I'm missing in the chat, but I can't read it right now. So the quick answer from me is yes, the Cardinals had a favorable matchup with the Rams. Look, this team was severely limited. The Rams were beat up badly on the offensive line. I mean, we kicked the crap out of them the first week. They left that game in shambles. This is not your average offensive line, that the Cardinals went up against last weekend. This is the Detroit Lions offensive line, one of the best offensive lines in the league. Yes, they're stumbling out of the blocks. But I'll tell you what, the Detroit Lions offensive line does not take losses very well. The entire team has not taken losses very well. This group of linemen for the Lions will be ready to dominate on Sunday and allow Gibbs and Monty to drive Mack trucks back through these lanes into the end zone multiple times on the day. And I'll put that prediction out tomorrow. But I do expect the Detroit Lions running game to come back alive in this game. And if we got to pass it, I think it's all going to be there anyway. I think J-Mo could light up the world on Sunday night with these matchups. Let's get into the Lions defense. And we're also going to open up the phone lines. It is 7:05 p.m. Make sure it's all connected. And if you guys want to call in and talk about the game tonight or the game for this weekend, feel free. Post your remarks, make your predictions, whatever you would like to do. Just remember, we got to keep the language PC. But there's the phone number in the chat. If you guys want to call in, feel free. Red zone defense for your Detroit Lions has been stellar. It's been really good. Last week versus the Bucs, though, we had a hard time. The Bucs had a hard time even crossing midfield. But when they did, the Lions shut them down 50% of the time on multiple possessions. The difference here, though, are the Cardinals are scoring in the red zone a whopping 75% of the time at home. This season, they are also producing 62.5% of the time overall. 75% at home, though. Now, they're 1-1, so one game at home, one game away. The Lions defense has been particularly strong in this area, though, of the defense, and I expect it to continue versus the run and the short passing plays. But I am worried about the shots to the end zone with Kyler on the run. We've seen it this weekend. Kyler on the run is dangerous. Kyler on the run with guys in the end zone is even more dangerous. AG must, and I will say it again, he must keep a spy on Kyler in this game. He has to. You have to keep somebody over the middle of this defense. Whether it's a spy, whether you call it a spy or you don't call it a spy, somebody has to be assigned to Kyler Murray. They cannot take their eyes off him. They have to be in a position to make a play. I have to say it, but this could be a bend but don't break style of a weekend for us. And those days really don't end up well for the Lions because we tend to bend a little bit too much and we give up way too much over the middle, and that's what hurts us. So if Aidan Hutchinson or Marcus Davenport get out of control and get too deep on Kyler Murray, he's going to find a hole and he's going to hit it and he's going to get 10, 12 yards at a clip. If we get interior pass rush or pressure on Kyler Murray and we're able to flip that W forward and lock in, Kyler won't be able to escape the pocket. And if he can't escape the pocket, we're fine. He's going to have to throw it away or make a mistake and start throwing some interceptions. Another point here, we got to stop third down conversions. The Cardinals have improved significantly in overall efficiency after lighting up the Rams 41-10 last week. They went from 15th overall in expected points added per play on third to third. So they went from 15 to third. Now, Kyler Murray and this offense are finding ways to move the sticks. Arizona is 14 for 24 on third down, a conversion rate of 58.3%, the best in the NFL. They are number one in the league on third down. If the Lions want to win this game, they have to get off the field on third down. It's a must. The longer Kyler Murray is able to string along the possession, the more likely he is going to find the end zone. Aaron Glenn cannot try and cheat here. He needs to have his best game calling this defense. He's got to be able to stop the Cardinals on third down, which means we're going to have to send somebody on second down. They're going to have to get the Cardinals way behind the sticks. So it is a very long third down, and then we can play our defense to keep them in front of us, stop them. They have to punt the ball. I'd love to hear what Troy would have to say on this from the guy that I met, the super fan. I wonder if I have his number. I probably do. I should have had him come on. I would love to hear what he has to say about his Cardinals this weekend. All right, so Lions offense. Lions offense has been slow. Real slow. We had a decent game the first week. Decent game, but a bit slow. Goff is 8-1 versus the Cardinals. He's 8-1 against them and has won 8 straight against the Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals have not beaten Goff since his rookie season in 2016 when Goff took over a decimated team. 7 of those starts came while he was with the Rams, though, so it doesn't do us any good. The last time and his lone start against the Cardinals while a Detroit Lion was in 2021, where Jared Goff won 30-12. He completed 21 of 26 passes for 216 yards and 3 touchdowns. You want to talk about efficiency. You want to talk about QB rating. 21 of 26 for 216 and 3 TDs is asinine. That is crazy good. The Cardinals have not beaten Goff since 2016, like I said. They have not beaten the Lions since 2015, so this is going on almost 10 seasons now. But that really doesn't matter. None of that matters because this is 2024. This isn't 2021. This isn't 2015. It isn't 26. It's 2024. Where do the Lions need to get better? Red zone efficiency, where we were very good last season. We are piss poor this season. We are the exact opposite of the Cardinals. The Lions are scoring in the red zone 27% of the time. This is absolutely pathetic. And not what anyone expected out of a number 3 offense just a season ago. We expected that this offense got better. And so far we've seen regression. So they've got to figure it out. They've got to figure out a way to get Sam Laporta involved in this game and start sticking with a past balanced game, in my opinion, is what I think they're going to be able to do against the Cardinals. Not a run balanced, not a balanced, pass balanced. What do I mean by that? Well, the Lions are going up against one of the worst DB rooms in the league. It'll be one of the worst that they have faced this season. The Cardinals rank 31st in overall coverage on defense. They've only given up, or they only have 2 pass breakups, no interceptions on the season. They've given up 233 yards of yak through 2 games. And according to PFF, the ADOT scores are fairly deep for many of the DBs, which means receivers are getting really deep into their routes before the pass is even thrown. ADOT is average depth of target. This should be a big advantage for the Lions, and this is why I said Jameson Williams could have a huge game. And I know that's probably not what everybody wants to see, but this isn't fantasy football, right? This is real life. J-Mo could have a huge game against this defense that has nobody that can stick with him, number one. And it's not balanced enough as a defense where you're going to be able to do anything with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta on the field with J-Mo. I don't see, who's going to stop him? Starling Thomas? Look, as much as I love Starling Thomas and wish that he was part of this team, he's not going to shut down Amon-Ra St. Brown. He is not going to shut down Jameson Williams. He's definitely not going to touch Sam Laporta. So then you've got Budda Baker in the free safety position. Now, he can give you some fits. Absolutely. He's more of a thumper than he is, a finesser. He's not having a good season, by all accounts, numbers wise, but the guy's a thumper. You have to respect him. Garrett Williams, their nickelback. He's good, but he's not great. And then you got Jalen Thompson on the back end of the defense. He's pretty decent. But again, if we go by the numbers here, let me get him pulled back up. If we go by the numbers here, let's see here. Their highest graded safety is Dadrian Taylor. Well, he definitely doesn't play. The second highest graded safety is Joey Blunt. He doesn't play. Their next highest graded safety is Budda Baker, who does play. 67.3 on defense, 74.6 in run defense, 41.1 in tackle, 61.5 in coverage. And after him, you've got Jalen Thompson, who's even worse. 39.9 in coverage, 45.4 overall in defense. Great tackler, great in run defense. So that's great. Once we go into play action, they're going to bite, right? They're going to bite down on the run, and Amon-Ra and J-Mo are just going to run wild on the safeties. So I see a lot of J-Mo in this game. As long as Jared Goff has more than 2.68 seconds of time to throw, I think we'll be okay here. And I know a lot of people were saying we got to run the ball, and run it again against the Cardinals. I just don't see it happening right away. I think that we're going to pass the ball balanced, meaning we're going to pass to get up, and then we're going to run the ball. But then we're going to go to play action, and then we're going to run the ball. And then we're going to go to play action, and then we're going to run the ball. I think it's going to be a little bit more balanced once we get a lead. That's right. I think we're going to win this game. I'm changing my tune on my early prediction. When I look at their cornerbacks, now they have one really good cornerback in here, and that is Kytrell Clark. He's phenomenal. So who's he going to line up on? Well, he's going to have his fielder's choice, right? You're either going to get Amon-Ra St. Brown, or you're going to get Jamison Williams. But Tim Patrick should also be up in this game. And he could have a pretty decent game if Jared Goff finally decides to pull the trigger on him. Garrett Williams, he's a 68.4. He's a 26.4 in tackling, 68 in coverage. Sean Murphy-Bunting is a 51.6 in coverage. The point that I'm trying to make here is their DBs overall, when you average it all out, they are below average in coverage. Now, it's only 2 games. We have to remember that. We don't have a large enough sample size yet. These guys could come into this game and play lights out. So that's where you have to be ready to run the ball. All right, which brings me to the next point. Let me finish this point. This should be a big advantage for the Lions against their DB room, especially JMO. I do expect a lot of passing in this game, but I expect that it won't be a lopsided passing day. I think it's going to be like 60-40 to start, and then 40-60, to kind of finish out the day. And at the end of the day, it's pretty even, right? The Lions would be wise to strike fast and strike often. I swear, if Ben Johnson does this again, where whatever's working, he goes away from it, and we go to something that's not working, and we stick with it, and he doesn't go back to what was working, I'm probably just going to shut the TV off while I'm doing play-by-play. Because that's just going to, I'm just going to have a rough day with that, like I did this last weekend. At the end of the day, we need to burn up the clock once we get a lead. We need to maintain the pass game just to maintain the run game. That's about it in this game for me. Sorry about that. Hot mic, I guess. So it brings me to the next game. You got to feed the beast, right? Everyone's been talking about a run game. Where did it go in this last game? It's no secret that many Lions fans really feel that we should have been running the ball way more often than we did. And after last week's lopsided performance, I do expect the O-line to show up in this game. And I do expect them to put on their warrior paint and get after it. This is a game that the O-line should really dominate. And in my opinion, this is not a scary defense. They have some playmakers like Baker, like Gardeck, like Mac Wilson, Xavier Collins even. But these are just not top-tier talented players compared to what the Lions have already faced. Kobe Turner, Jared Verse, Vita Vea, Levante David, and others. They've gone up against superior talent already in the first 2 weeks of the season, 2 playoff teams. So, I believe that David Montgomery should have a pretty solid day. And so should Jahmyr Gibbs. I think it's going to be dealer's choice. Whoever's having the hot hand is going to get fed the ball, and that's why it is so difficult to figure out who's going to have the better day for your Detroit Lions run game, because both of them offer something a little bit different. And if I would have gotten a little bit more granular into the next gen stats, which I probably could do right now, it would tell you kind of where, Arizona is giving up the most rush yards. And I don't even know if next gen has a stat for this. I haven't looked in a while. Let's see if they added anything. Let me take a look. Rushing. Yeah, all they have is stats. They don't have a nice... You know what I could do? I know what I can do. Let's just look up the Rams. Let's look up the Rams. All right, we got charts. We're going to go Rams. Well, let's see if we can get some charts on their rush game. All right, so Kyron Williams. Now, he didn't have a great game in this game at all. But you're talking about a decimated offensive line, too. Oh, that is not the right screen. There we go. So, Kyron obviously didn't have the greatest of days on the ground. I mean, you just look and see what he didn't do here. Push this up a little bit further. But this kind of gives you an idea, right? Where did he have success? Well, he clearly didn't have much success because most of his yards were 0 to 5. So he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 runs for 0 to 5 yards. He broke 1, 2, 3 for 5 or more. And he had, it looks like 2 or 3 that were tackled for a loss. Not a great day, but also a very beat up offensive line. So in my opinion, when you go up against a really good offensive line like we have, wherever they were having their success on the left side, I think that, yeah, you could probably see Jahmyr Gibbs, have a better day with some outside zone. But what I like about these routes right here, oh, you guys can't see my cursor? Well, that stinks. Why can't you see my cursor? I've got capture cursor on. Whatever, dude. Anyway, if you look at the green lines right up the middle, I mean, that is a David Montgomery kind of play, right? And I think that, you see the yellow lines, that's a Gibbs kind of play going to the outside zone. He had success with both, but he also had, a couple of tackles for loss here off the right side. He didn't do much off the left, but I do believe that, both of these guys are going to be able to have some success. I can't remember who Arizona went up against in the first week. Not that it really matters, but at the end of the day, these charts do help. Help if I hit the right one. These charts do help, give you an idea of what the Cardinals are doing well and what they're not doing well. And so far, I mean, I'm not extremely impressed, outside of their offense. That is the only side of the ball that I'm extremely worried about is Kyler Murray. That's it. Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison. Those are the two guys that I'm most worried about. It only takes one of them to get going, and when the other one gets going, or when one of them gets going, the other one's going to get going. And it's going to open up the field. So if we have anything to worry about this weekend, it is going to be just that. It is going to be Kyler Murray. So thoughts, ideas, questions? Steve K says, oops, I clicked the like button. What do you mean, oops? No one wants to call in today? You don't want to talk about your Detroit Lions? Do you see where my analysis is okay here? Or what do you think is going to happen? Do you think the Lions are going to walk into this and completely stomp them out? Or do you think we're going to have some trouble and we're going to go down 1-2 on the season? So here's one other thing. Look, Jared Goff versus this secondary. I think the Lions will need Goff to test this Cardinals secondary quickly. Like I said earlier, they got to get up in a hurry. So you've got to test them early, and you're going to have to test them with the pass game. I think that Goff, not only is he projected to outpass Kyler Murray in this game, kind of giving us the advantage, the connection between him and Amon-Ra St. Brown has to be what it used to be. he's going to have to target a familiar face in this game. I think part of, I mean, you guys correct me if I'm alone on this thought, but we didn't really have JMO before, right? Even though he was in the game last year a little bit, he wasn't really in the game plan. And now it's almost like they're forced to put JMO into the game. One, he's earned an opportunity, right? But two, the fans are expecting it. Not that the Lions care. That's not how they do their game planning. They don't care what we think. But three, I mean, they got to see what this guy's got before, his contract runs out and they haven't done anything. So I guess the biggest thing for me is inserting JMO. Has that screwed up Jared Goff? That's what I'm wondering. Has it screwed up, the chemistry with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jared Goff? Because now JMO's getting some attention and he's taken some targets away from Amon-Ra St. Brown. Yeah, Dave Scott says we can't chase him around all day. He will gas us. You got to keep an eye on him and don't overpressure. That's key, man. That is the key. You've got to contain. Don't over pursue this guy. If Hutch chases sacks in this game, it's going to be a long day. You've got to stop James Conner. That's number one. You got to stop the run game. The minute you stop the run game, you make him more one-dimensional, which Murray will never be one-dimensional because he's got legs. But at least it gives you an opportunity to defend it a little bit differently. So that was it for my pregame tonight. Prediction and outlook. Man, most of these models are favoring the Lions. I think I saw the stat earlier today was 58%. 27-24 victory, close game. Now, before the first 2 weeks happened, I had the Lions losing this game. And I had that score. Got to pull up in that spreadsheet real quick. I had that score at 24-21 Cardinals. That is going to change tomorrow morning. I will tell you right now, I am picking the Lions to win this game. But I do not know what my score is going to be just yet. Could be a lot to a little. It could be a little to a lot. It could be a lopsided win. It may be a short-sighted win. I don't know. But all right, you mentioned Reader. I think it's going to be interesting to see just how much better Reader is in week 2. I think it's going to be big to see him take another leap forward. He went in, he got absolutely gassed in last week's game. And how does he recover this week? I think that professional athletes, they recover a lot quicker and they get better because of it. Detroit Fan Man says, I think it was the offensive line still playing like it's a preseason game that caused Goff to start slow. He is dependently masterful with a clean pocket. And so far, according to PFF, we have had the 17th best offensive line. Yeah, that's not good. George Wang says, so critical to score a tutty early on these cards. Get off to a good start, silence the crowd, and erase the ugly effort from last week. I agree with you there. Good point, Mr. Wang. A couple of new names in here. Detroit Fan Man. I don't know who you are yet, but we'll find out. I hear you, Mike P. I got you on the can't talk on air thing. Nobody likes to call in anymore. It's like people are scared to call in, but phone line's open. I'm going to be shutting this down here in a little bit. I got to do a recording right after 8 o'clock and get cranking for tomorrow. Still got a lot of work to do before tomorrow's. I can't believe it's already Friday tomorrow, right? What in the world is going on? This week has just flown by. And we've got Thursday Night Football coming up. So, got to get ready for that. What's your predictions for tonight? Who's even playing tonight? I didn't even look at the schedule. Who do we got tonight? We have, wow, the Jets and the Patriots. Well, that's a crap game. I'm going to have to take the Jets in that one. I think I did the other day anyway. I gotta put out my scores and everything. So I'm definitely I'm put it on air now. I'm taking the Jets. Score wise, well, it's at New York, so I'm gonna go 24 to the Jets, and I'm gonna go 17 to the Patriots. 24-17. Jets win by 7. I do not know what the over-under is. I do not know what anybody's favored by in that game. I don't care. I can't stand Rodgers, and I hate the Patriots even more. It's all right. Detroit fan, man. No, you're good, dude. I just don't know who you are yet. And I like the comment, man. I think you're good. Statement win, check 6. Yeah, let's check it in, man. We'll cash it in. Not check it in. We'll cash it in. Statement win, I hope so. That would be huge for us. We're still missing a couple of pieces. Like Tracy says, Davenport will play this week too. I hope so. The fact that he's not been extremely limited this week, he's been a participant is helpful. Tracy says, I did a coin toss and it landed on New England. So New England it is. Dave Scott says, go Jets, go, and take the Giants with you. There you go. That's a good one. Mike P says, the more Goff can go through his progressions, the faster they can get that coverage change. So I'm sure some of you guys have seen the video that I did about Jared Goff. I mean, a lot of that came from the morning show and how irate I was about fans, media, whoever, talking all this crap about Jared Goff. And that he's not playing like a $212 million guy, and he's not playing like a $50 million guy, and so on and so forth, right? I mean, there's a lot more to this. Like it's not just Goff. I mean, someone had the audacity to comment, maybe I should go and watch the tape. Little did they know that we did a tape review on Tuesday night together with the members, and that I do tape review every Tuesday and Monday. After, the majority of the games when I have time. So I do look at the tape. I do look at certain plays. I'll go back and look at, you guys know what I do now. I go back and I look at all the turnovers. I go back and look at all the sacks. I take a look at the key moments of the game, and then I go back and find the plays that I want to watch, the penalties and see what happened there so that I can be intelligent about it and conversate about it. So, to say that everything was Goff's fault, I mean, is so far out of, the truth. It's not even funny. But the other thing is saying that Goff is not, playing like a $50 million man. Well, he shouldn't be. He's making $27 million this year. So if money matters, he should only be playing half as good as what a $50 million man plays. Because he's only making $27 million this year, and he's only making $32 million next year. But he's damn near making $70 million in 2026. Wow, that's a big number. $70 million. But that's all right. Isn't Dak Prescott making $60 million this year? Or something like that? The New Jersey Jets. Quinn, was I say Queequeg? I just butchered your name. Detroit was outcoached in the last game. Bulls schemed up blitzes that were not countered. JMO is a plus, not a distraction. Okay. I picked the Patriots this morning. No, did I really? You're going to have to make me go back and listen now, Trace. Aren't you the same person that just said Kyler Murray is left-handed? That is BJ Arrogance statement on Patrick. Not following you, Mike P. Not following you. Mike P says they sure don't know our shows. My point was meant to say, take what they give you, but you must have time. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have to. Goff is going to have to take what they give him. I mean, that's what a good quarterback does. You know, you got to see the field. You got to understand what's going on pre-snap, so that post-snap you know where to go. And whatever this defense is going to give us, I'm sure he's going to do his best job. My biggest complaint over this past weekend with the offense, obviously the offensive line was struggling, but beyond that, I swear, the receivers were not looking back. It's like they were not helping Jared Goff. It's like they were not helping. I mean, if he was under pressure like he was, 2.68 seconds time to throw, right? And Baker had 3.1 seconds, or whatever it was. No, I'm sorry. Like Kyler had 3.1 seconds this past weekend. It's a big difference. It's a big difference. So he needs more time, yes. I mean, Goff has always been one of the better quarterbacks under pressure. He didn't take a sack. Yeah, he had some awful looking throws. But I think that you also have to understand that not every throw is meant to be completed. Not every throw is meant to make it to the receiver. If everybody is guarded at the time that he's making the throw, he's just trying to pick a spot to throw it so he doesn't get a flag for intentional grounding. That's it. It's that simple. Or he's about to get crushed and he's got to get rid of it to the only spot that he can. And I always hear the excuse, well, this guy was open and this guy was open. And yeah, but at what point were they open? Were they open when they were looked at first? Or did Jared Goff have to come back around for a second look and then they were open? Because typically there is no second look. It's bang, 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 done. You know, you've got 2.5 to 3 seconds to try to get the ball out. And if it's over 3 seconds, you're probably scrambling. And Jared Goff doesn't scramble. These guys got to get open. So, I mean, look, we could debate it all day long. I think the best way to do it is to put it up on screen, roll the tape, and point everything out. That's the only way that you can have a successful argument for either side. Tarantino says Goff had a lot of one-read throws. You mean where he chose one player, just kind of locked eyes and didn't move off? Is that what you're meaning? Bobby Starks in the house is getting ready to head to Arizona. I can't wait for this game. I think we get this W. There you go, Bobby. Wish I was going. Maybe I'll have to look for a cheap ticket. Who are you going to take targets from to throw to Patrick? Oh, I got you. Look, I don't think you have to take targets from anybody. I really don't. I think that you target Patrick 4 to 6 times a game. I think you have to. We need that big body out there. And he provides something that nobody else does. Yeah, so Tarantino, I get that totally. That yeah, there was some times there where Goff seemed to he seemed to not take his eyes off his first look. Let's not forget that we got a sponsor. Let me hit a sponsor real quick. We'll be back here in like 90 seconds-ish or so. Actually, it'll be like 30 seconds. Here we go.
And you want the latest news and rumors on your Detroit Lions. Head to sportspider.com. That's sports, SPYDER.com, where you can get your Lions news and all your sports in one place. Man, this site is packed with your favorite podcasts, live news, articles from local writers, and insiders, all updating in real time. Not just the Lions, every major sports team, including MMA, UFC, and so much more. Don't want to waste time searching? Sign up for free. Create your ultimate sports news hub. You control what hits your feed at SportsSpider, your #1 source for all your sports. Visit sportspider.com today, right after the show.
All right, and we're back. And don't forget, we've got the Barry Sanders Hall of Fame collection raffle going on right now. And I'm going to post it as a Q&A. So if you're interested in getting raffle tickets to support the Rocked On Cancer Foundation, just hit up the buymeacoffee.com/rocked on. Head over to the shop, and you'll see all sorts of things up for bid. You get to purchase raffle tickets, and all the information is in the details as far as when we are going to do the raffles. So David Lyons is going to Arizona too. How come no one told me anyone was going? You know what I mean? Like, what's up with that? I would have went, even though I got a ton of stuff to do this weekend. But it is what it is. All right, y'all. I'll see you back here in the morning. I don't think anyone's going to call in, so we're going to leave it. I'm going to unplug it. We're going to wrap it up, and we're going to get ready for the morning show. And Tracy, I'm still taking the Jets. I'm changing my mind. I'm taking the Jets. I just don't have a score prediction that really makes much sense, I guess. But I'll stick with what I already said. I'm taking the Jets. You guys have a great night. We'll see you here in the morning.
Every day, thousands of people are discovering.
Adam Schefter at ESPN says there's 275,000 people.
Well, that was some party in downtown Detroit. 775,000 people shattering the NFL draft attendance record.
This is the future.
All grips.
Evolution. This is the future.
All grips.
Evolution.